What's up out there, ladies and gentlemen? This is your captain speaking on a Friday. How y'all doing out there? Thought I'd come on here and just have a little rant about the state of things in the United States. Since we've just been doing meme wars and things like that lately. Hope y'all are having a great Friday out there. So I've been looking at the election stuff, and once again, we're in a situation where it seems like everyone, the vast majority of people, are for Donald Trump, right? And there's like this leftist minority that's very vocal online, but, obviously they don't seem to have that much support for Kamala Harris. And once again, the Democrat candidate seems like they are completely lost. Kamala Harris got annihilated in the interview. Tim Walz got destroyed in the debate. Kamala Harris is a cackling idiot. No one would want her running the country. It seems like that's the vast majority of people's opinions on this. And once again, I'll remind you that in 2020, we were all sitting there looking at Joe Biden's empty press conferences, his empty rallies, and Trump's completely full rallies. And we were like convinced that Biden had no support at all whatsoever. And then the election happened. And they completely manipulated the election. They completely fucked with everything and gave us the fakest result of all time, telling us the bumbling, dementia-ridden Biden got the most votes in American history. Not by a little bit, by a ton. And in the same election, Trump supposedly would have set a record himself, pretty much. He had like 70-something million votes, which means like more people are voting now than ever, right? Or is it that there's just more illegals voting, more dead people voting? So I found it interesting that in Virginia, they tried to get rid of, I think it was like 6,000 people on the voter poll or whatever, that aren't supposed to be there. They're like illegals, right? On the voting thing, and they've identified these as people not supposed to be on the voting. So they got rid of them. And what does the federal government do? And this is a law that was put and enacted by Tim Kaine, who is a Democrat governor, past governor of Virginia, the guy who ran with Hillary to lose against Trump in 2016. That Tim Kaine is the guy who put this law into place in Virginia. And the federal government's suing Virginia because Virginia removed 6,000 people from their voting poll. So these people that should not be voting aren't voting. But now the state's getting sued for that by the federal government. That shit's insane. And I'll tell you right now what the Democrats are doing. And it's rather insidious. And it has to do with the illegal immigration. Like, why are the Democrats for illegal immigration? I'll tell you right now. It's so they can transfer this into a one-party country. Because look where the illegal migration is being put. It's only going to sanctuary states, right? So they keep pumping all these, like, illegals into their own backyard. And you're like, well, why are they doing that? Why are they constantly flooding their own neighborhoods, their own Democrat-run states with all these illegals? Because you're not thinking about the big picture. So in America, how many congressional seats you get is dependent upon how many people live in your state. It's population-based. So by continuously flooding Democrat-run states with migrants, they are raising the population of those states. So when they go to hand out congressional seats in the future, those states will get more seats. And then the Democrats who run those Democrat states will just get more congressional seats. And then because they own Congress, by getting more seats, they will be able to introduce any law they want, because all the laws come from Congress, right? From the House. That's where they all start. So by doing this, they're completely like taking over America from within with illegal migrants. And then when it comes to electing the president, once again, if they have more migrants in blue states, and those blue states get more electoral college votes because they have a higher population, they can then take over the executive branch by just winning blue states. And they will lower the population of all the states that are red states so that they get a lower electoral college vote and they get less congressional seats. It's rather insidious. It really is. But the long-term picture of it is obvious to see. And another thing about this is one thing I don't get that they're doing is why they target like the African American community and all this shit. African Americans represent like 13% of the population, and they commit 50% of the crime. No, it's not where I'm going with this. That's not the fact I'm going with. They like are 13% of the population, and they represent something like 1% of the vote, because like almost none of them vote. So why do people care so much about such a small percentage of the population? Like, that's not going to sway the election. The Democrats, the population they should care about is the boomers. You have this huge population bubble with all these old people, and they actually vote. Like, the old people vote on voting day. And what do they care about? The only thing they care about is themselves. Let's all be honest, boomers. I've seen you out on the roads driving. I've seen how you act in public. You're the most self-interested generation that has ever existed while you drive around in your convertibles with your silver hair streaking in the breeze at 10 miles an hour in a car with 700 horsepower. Okay? We see you. And we know you're voting for Kamala because you don't want your Social Security checks cut or your Medicaid touched. Okay? It's all about the benefits for yourself. And that's what the Democrats, they should just be honest and be like, yep, the only way Kamala's getting into office is if a zillion old boomers care more about themselves than the future of America and care more about their short-term fucking benefits than they do about, you know, the debt in this country or getting into wars or anything else. And the abortion issue is another one where they're like constantly trying to scare people with that bullshit. It's like, oh my God, you're not going to be able to kill your babies. Trump's going to come and stop you from doing that. That's not going to happen. We've already seen Trump in office. He didn't stop people from having the right to kill and massacre their babies on the altar of science. You fucking libtards can still do that shit all you want. And it's not Trump who's going to make you pay for it. You're going to hell for it. So go ahead, go have your fucking abortions. No one's going to stop you. Just know you're going to pay for it in the end. And what else? Oh, and the whole idea that like Trump is some sort of savior that's going to save us from the New World Order. No, he's not. He's just another part of the same like system. He's just a better choice than fucking Kamala. You know, like, do you want a relatively better economy? Do you want like a little bit better of a society? You vote in Trump. It's like the banksters giving you an option. Like, oh, you can slowly descend to the New World Order, or you can just go full bore into it with camel toe. That's the option that we're being given here. It's not like Trump's going to get in there and get rid of the Federal Reserve. I still have not heard anyone mention the Federal Reserve Bank as the reason for the inflation, which should be the number one thing on everyone's minds right now, which is inflation. Like, hello, the banksters are fucking us like royally, and no one's talking about like who's to blame. It's the bankers. It's obvious it's the bankers. Inflation's going up in every country around the world, simultaneously driving every nation and every person into massive debt so that they can offer us the solution, which is coming, which will be the digital global reset, and they crash the internet or whatever they're going to do. Then, bring out a new corporate internet, a better internet, and give us whatever for currency. They'll be like, oh, we're going to forgive you of all that debt and get rid of that hyperinflated money and let you have, central bank digital currency. And as long as you take this mark on your hand or forehead, you can buy and sell in our new economy. And you'll have all this extra money from your universal basic income. It's coming. They'll be like, yeah, just give us all your property and we'll alleviate you of all your debts and we'll give you universal basic income. And most people would be like, yeah, sure. They do it now already. Once the bankers inflate the currency a couple more years, drive people more out of their homes, more out of the shit they own, more into debt, they'll be even more willing. So, I don't know. This is my rant about the election. It's not really about the election. It's more about the society that we live in, I guess. And another one, I see the population rates all across the world are collapsing, which is one of the reasons why I started protesting GMOs back in the day. And I was one of the leaders in Rant. I was the head guy for March Against Monsanto Boston. And we held big protests every year to get people aware about GMOs because of the issue with fertility rates of things exposed to GMOs. So, like, for instance, when honeybees were studied, they found that the first generation of honeybees were not affected fertility-wise by GMOs. But the second generation of honeybees had a 50% fertility rate. And then the third generation of honeybees were almost completely infertile. And if you apply that to the human population, currently, you would have our generation being the first, the millennials, really the first generation introduced to GMO crops, which means our kids, the kids of the millennials, would be the first generation that would be affected by GMO. They're the ones that would have like a 50% fertility rate. And then their kids, if the same thing happens to humans that happens to honeybees, their kids would be almost infertile. So our grandchildren of the people in my generation, thanks to GMO food, will be mostly infertile. And that's about the time that if you look at the development of AI and robotics, it's about the time they won't need the useless eaters anymore. And the people that will still be fertile will be the elite and the wealthy because they can afford organic food. And they can afford their own farms and whatever. They don't have to eat the goy slop that we all do, right? And the further they drive up inflation, the more they drive people into debt, the more people will be forced to eat GMO shit and depopulate themselves. And this isn't just happening in America. This is a worldwide thing you can see happening everywhere. And with all that, we have another war brewing as well. So you have the Taiwan situation has never been hotter. I know I haven't been doing videos on it, so probably no one hears about this. But recently, there was like 160 airplanes flying around Taiwan from China. And the Chinese are doing all sorts of military drills. They're threatening the president of Taiwan. There's all types of stuff coming out saying that Taiwan is close to being invaded. And I really do fear that if you get Kamala in the White House, that it will be shortly after her inauguration that that China invades Taiwan. Just like Putin waited for Biden to get into office to start his war with Ukraine, because Putin knew he'd have 4 years of Biden, or 4 years of, Harris, right? If Biden wasn't there. You see what I'm saying? Like, he knew there was 4 years of weak administration to deal with. Well, if the Chinese see that, there's going to be 4 years of a Kamala Harris White House, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to invade Taiwan like January 21st, probably. Or wait for it'll be like after the inauguration, and some big event will be taking place somewhere else in the world. North Korea will kick off some nonsense, drawing U.S. troops away from Taiwan towards North Korea, and then that's when it'll happen. Right when no one's expecting it, China will go into Taiwan. And I almost guarantee North Korea will be used as some sort of distraction right before it, because that'll get 7th Fleet up to North Korea. So anyways, yeah, I mean, you're going to get a lot of this information from who online? No one. No one talks about this stuff. All you have now online is larpers, IIA assets, the InfoWars network. They've wiped out all the independent people completely. So I hope everyone's enjoying that. Anyways, I'll try to do a news stream to get into actual depth coverage of some of the stuff I've been ranting about. But I just felt like coming on here and ranting today. So I hope you enjoyed. And that's the state of the election 2024. It's a shit show. There's a slightly better option, which is Trump. He's no savior. Like, if we're going to take out the New World Order, it has to be from some other way. It's not going to be electing a president. It's not possible. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, anyways, I'll be back soon with an actual live stream with some actual news to cover for you guys, because there's been a lot going on. I just haven't had much time to do anything. And obviously, I'm still collecting memes for the next Meme Wars. So if you have any funny memes, hit me up and you'll see it in the next Meme Wars. All right, peace out, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. This video will self-destruct on this channel and be back up on one of my backup channels on YouTube. So make sure you're subscribed to Titus Frost Revenge, Titus Frost, and Meme Wars on YouTube. Those are my 3 channels. All right, peace out, everyone, and take care.